right, so we were in Oakland when Richard passed, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, we found out before the game. When did you guys find out afterward?
You know, we found out like right around batting practice. We was getting ready to go out, and
Okay.
Wash called a couple of us in and told us what had happened, and it was, you're like, no.
Right.
It was like, yeah, like, it's way too young. Wife was expecting, you know. He had 2 kids, right?
2, yeah.
1 in the oven.
Right.
Yeah, it was a shame, man. It was a sad day.
Yeah. Yeah. All I remember about the game is that Yu Darvish pitched. At the time, he hadn't figured out the A's yet. But that's all I remember because I couldn't think about anything else. But I mean, you haven't been to every event, but we're at the initial ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you remember about that first one at Billy Bob's? It was fantastic.
Oh, I was, you know, just the support. You know, how many people came out for Richard, and you know what you guys have done has been phenomenal for not only Richard but his legacy and helping people moving forward. It's been a great cause.
Yeah. I mean, we're both parents. Mm-hmm. You know, God forbid something like that were to happen to our loved ones.
Yeah.
But to have support.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta have it. Unfortunately, it happens every day. You know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it does. But Emily gave us a good number this morning when she was giving the presentation before we teed off.
Yeah.
You know, about the funds that have been raised through the years, and you know, time flies. It's been
10 years.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah.
That's something else.
Yeah.
I remember Richard, man. Everybody's got stories, but you know, with Richard, everything was an event. You know, it was like, you know, hey, Richard, you going to the ball game? Yeah, I'm going to the ball game. You going to cover the game? I'm going to cover the game. Yu Darvish is pitching tonight. Yeah, Yu Darvish is pitching tonight. But the most excited I ever saw Richard was he came up at like late in the second half, TCU Kansas game. And he goes, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. And I'll be darned if the Frogs didn't beat the Jayhawks for the first time in a while. But that was one of my favorite experiences with Richard, just how excited he was that his Frogs were taking down the Giants of the game.
Yeah, I remember. I still have somewhere I have a tape recorder. We're about ready to interview. I think we're about ready to interview you, or you were walking through, and I'd already hit record, and Richard was next to me, and you go, Dick Dirt.
Dick Dirt.
I mean, the audio file's got to be 10 years old, but I still have it just because it cracks me up.
To start the show, and a quick look back at the Do It for Dirt golf outing, and we'll talk about that and look forward, because look at the rankings of Rōki. One thing we know about Rōki Sasaki, no matter who he lands with this year, he'll be the Rōki of the year. Welcome into the DLLS podcast. Jeff's already chuckling. There. You see what I did there?
I did.
John Radigan, I'm Raz. That's Abs, Abby Jones, and we've got Jeff over there, who was...
You should do stand-up.
Huh?
You should do stand-up.
Stand-up comedy?
Yeah, you're quick and witty.
They'd boo me off there so fast. I wanted to see the very next thing that happened, which was you hitting.
Yeah, I hooked it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was
like
were
Elijah,
those drivers in your hands, or was that
Abby and Elijah were there for like 2 shots of mine, and they were like 2 of the 4 worst shots I hit all day.
Oh no!
That's what they all say.
So no, it's the truth. They missed when I knocked down the pin on 5 and all that stuff, but that's fine.
Yeah,
we had a great time and raised more than $300,000 between the golf and the night event, the concert at Texas Live. So, and you know, as we get further away from Richard's death, there are fewer and fewer people in the game who worked with him. They remember him, but Mike Maddox is one of them. So it was good catching up with him.
Yeah, it really was. It was a great little snippet. And Abs was saying, you don't see that much personality from Mike Maddox that often. You do actually away from the game and away from the ballpark. But at the game, at the ballpark,
all business.
He's all business. There's no doubt about that. So that was a really fun little
The
bit.
greats typically are.
Yep, that's exactly right. And we've got lots of things on our social media channels that will reminisce about and allow you some inside looks at the Do It for Dirt event. So make sure you avail yourselves to that. The Prophet is here. It was his hard work that got us that interview. So we appreciate Elijah very much. Abs, you saw the little cameo in the background as she was walking around and taking care of business at the golf event as well. So anyway, a great weekend. And as Jeff said, very successful as they raised over $300,000 for a wonderful cause. And we appreciate all of you who have helped us in that process. Now,
And
yes,
today is Veterans Day.
it is.
Thank you to those that have served.
Very good way to start the program. We appreciate each and every one of you veterans. I have many in my family, and I am always so proud and so blessed to have them. And we're all proud, and we
Grateful.
are all blessed to live in the country and with the freedom that they have provided for us.
Yes, yes, like you said, we all know at least one, several, and as you get to know people and get to know their stories, maybe you didn't realize it, because
That's right.
A lot of them don't wear it on their chest like they should. But anyway, yeah. So happy Veterans Day. It's also my wife's birthday.
Oh, wow.
Happy birthday.
So we're not going to say how old she is, but she is younger than me.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. And so happy birthday to her.
Yeah, fantastic. Happy birthday to her. And we saw the very beginning of the show. We see news that came, from sources in Japan that suggest that the Dodgers aren't necessarily a lock cinch to sign Rōki Sasaki. We've been saying that for a long time. Elijah, do we have that little Twitter hit thing that I sent? Yeah, let's run that. Let's put that up and just show you, again, one person. It's a person on Twitter who threw this up. And so, but it's worth looking at to see what the sources are saying. A source close to Sasaki said a small market team with solid development setup and a plan could be the best destination. So that's
Wink, wink,
certainly
wink.
clicking some, checking some boxes that the Rangers have.
Yeah, well, DFW is not a small market.
Good point.
It's the fourth largest market in the U.S. But
still considered
when
one.
you get west of 360, where the ballpark is, and when you get into Tarrant County, it definitely has a smaller feel, smaller town feel for it. So I think that is good news. L.A. is massive, as we all know. A lot of media spotlight there. Same thing with New York. So does this put San Francisco into play? I think San Francisco is the sixth largest market. Philadelphia
Padres
fifth
too.
is there. The Padres are well down there, so that would be a good fit for them. Their farm system right now is stinky, though. But I think that these are good things for the Rangers. They've shown a commitment to player development here the last few years with the rebuild, and have a bunch of good prospects. They've drafted well, good international signings. And, of course, as we all know, Sasaki will come from the international budget. If there's any money left over from last year, you can fold that into this year. And you can always add money. You can make trades for slot money with other teams. $250,000 increments, though. So it's not like they can make a deal with the Pirates for $4 million. It's got to be steady in a lot of trades. Those trades cost you players, all right? So they don't want to go too crazy there. But I think the Rangers are definitely in play. They've scouted him. Their crew of scouts over there has known him since high school. The Rangers, Josh Boyd, the Rangers assistant general manager, has been in Rōki Sasaki's living room when he was in high school. So there's a lot of relationships that are pre-existing. The Rangers, of course, people are speculating San Diego because of Yu Darvish. Well, where did Yu Darvish start? The Rangers. So the Rangers have a pretty good track record over there. But I think Sasaki has to be signed by December 15th. That's the deadline.
Yeah.
So that's the week or right after the end of the winter meetings, which are here in town.
Sure.
So there could be a lot of buzz that week.
Yeah.
A lot of things getting done, but I think that the Rangers do have a chance. I think we've said this, and it was written today in the Dallas paper that you get Chris Young in the room, and he's going to drive it home. He's going to be a real good salesman, and the Dodgers have all the momentum in the Far East right now, and why not? With Ohtani and Yamamoto. But I'm telling you, you get in the room and you get Chris Young sitting down with
the
him,
closer,
and you're in good shape.
Yeah, I like that. He's the closer. And I do think it's funny because I promise you, if we said to Chris Young, yeah, man, he's a great salesman, he'd say, I'm not selling. Remember when he got the year, I think it was, that maybe it was the DeGrom year, but I think it was actually the year before that. And we would ask him, when you get Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, among others, to sign here, you're like, man, how did you sell them on your vision, on your plan? I didn't sell them. I just explained to him what it was. Don't say sold them. I'm not selling anything, which again, the implication there can be, shady salesman. He's like, I have a plan. We have a plan.
the vision is clear.
The vision is very clear. And obviously the plan came to fruition in 2023. Now, one thing to really consider is the fact that, speaking of 23, in that 23 World Baseball Classic, Rōki Sasaki was on the same team with Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani. Where do they play now? Oh, the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's some comfort there.
Yeah.
There's some familiarity.
But I was going to say, back to Jeff's point, I think when the Rangers have been so consistent in his life, like from an early age, just 15 years old, you remember that.
Yeah.
And the familiarity there is going to be a huge selling point, because if I'm in this guy's shoes and I'm going to move to a new country, I mean, it kind of would be nice to see familiar faces and things like that. So in that sense, I think that the Rangers do have a little bit of an edge, because, I mean, it's kind of like when you do the Rangers podcast, the weekly show, and it's like, how much more do guys give you when they're in the big leagues, when you interviewed them, when like nobody knew their name, nobody knew anything about them. Like you trust that relationship that you build, and you kind of think that they're going to have your best interest in mind, not just be like a dollar sign, which it is a business, and kind of think of every player that way. But there's a relationship there, and I think that's important.
Yeah, and you can look at a lot of this guy's 23, all right?
Right.
He's going to be going away from home, way away from home for the first time. Does he want to be around somebody who speaks his language and can help him, show him the ropes without anything getting lost in translation? All right, advantage Dodgers. Does he want to go out and leave his own mark? Advantage everybody else, and the Rangers had Darvish, and he's, honestly, he had some of the best pitching seasons in Rangers history, but still you'd be making your own mark. That was 7 years ago, 8 years ago now. So it just, and it's hard to get a read on this over the years, because there, people are like, oh, well, yeah, with like Ohtani, they're like, well, he's going to want to sign somewhere where they've never had a Japanese player, so that kind of, maybe that put a dent in the Rangers' plans. I don't know. And then you hear guys who are like, well, in Japan, they have a very like experience-based hierarchy where these veteran guys get to treat rookie players like
garbage.
Hey, go buy me lunch. Wash my jock strap. Whatever it is. And
carry a pink bag out to the bullpen.
Yeah. And
My dad did that.
Do they want that to happen? So I don't know, but I think the Rangers are in the game. I really do.
Yeah, I think the only other thing to consider, as we were kind of talking about it upstairs, is just like his lack of innings. So that could be a factor too, with just plans of rotation.
But that could be a good thing, because you won't be tempted to go out and grind him into the ground.
Right.
As great as he is, you're going to have to put a governor on him, and you're going to be like, all right. So maybe that keeps him from blowing up, or helps him adjust to the ball, and adjust to the travel and all that stuff, because there are a lot of long flights that these players in Japan never make. They take trains, and it's not very long, whereas you're going to be on a plane at 3 a.m, or like you were talking about last week, you're landing in Chicago during rush hour after a night game in LA.
So then do you even look at like a coast?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It would make travel worse, you know?
Right.
I mean,
Just
not all
saying.
travel, but a lot of it. And certainly Seattle always has the worst travel of any team in Major League Baseball.
Sure.
No doubt about that. Do we know, and all the stuff I've read, I haven't seen, has he had any surgeries?
No.
None.
He's had some, like an oblique injury and some shoulder fatigue and things like that. But, you know, somebody who throws that hard, I think you're just going to expect it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And that's another reason to, ramp him up. Right.
I want to reiterate my point that I love to say. If he's called the Japanese Jacob deGrom, I think you should go to the source.
Makes sense to me.
Try to be the sponge, you know? Hey, I'm compared to this guy. What team has Jacob deGrom?
Yeah.
Can you put my locker by him?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Makes sense to me. Seems like a good idea. We'll find out what he decides at least by December the 15th. No doubt about that. We've got more coming up as we continue on the DLLS Rangers podcast. We appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you chatting. Like us, please. Subscribe to us if you would. And we'll keep those subscription numbers going up and up for ALLCITY and the DLLS Sports podcasts, the whole family of our podcast. Coming up next on the show, we're going to talk about a pitcher the Rangers appear to be very close to signing in this free agency season as the hot stove league really begins to heat up. We've got more coming too as we get to a fun moment for Josh Young later in the show, but that's all coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast. All right, so you might need new floors anytime soon. I heard today, Empire Today, still guaranteeing you can get your floors in by Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
If you need them. So you better hurry, though. That may be, heck, that may have ended when I was driving. I'm not sure. But you hurry up, get you some flooring if you want to get it in before you invite the whole family over and the extended family and the crazy uncle. And if you get it from Empire Today, you'll be so happy that you did. They're the original. They are the ones that invented all of this stuff. They're the best. And everybody else that's come around since then is basically just trying to copy them. They've got that great technology where you take a picture of the floor, you take it to Empire Today. They show you what different varieties of floors would look like in your house. Makes it a lot easier for you to pick. You get $350 off any new floor if you go to empiretoday.com/Dallas. That's empiretoday.com/Dallas.
You know, with Thanksgiving coming, it's a lot of cooking.
Yes, it is.
A lot of family comes to town, not just for the big day, but probably before and after.
Yep.
And you know what? HelloFresh can help with that. Our favorite meal provider, John, is HelloFresh.
No doubt.
And if you're looking for ways to cut down on the stress of cooking for a bunch of people, get these HelloFresh meals. You can get them for 2 to 3 or parties larger than that, and it just kind of, you don't have to go to the store, which is awful this time that time of year, and it just makes it easier, and it's good food.
It is.
John and I cannot tell you how good it is, and they have all kind of options for picky eaters or comfort food or whatever you
I wonder
want.
if they have a Thanksgiving edition.
Well, I don't don't know. We'll have to check
We haven't
it out.
checked on that one yet, but we should.
Yeah. So anyway, you can get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/FreeRangers. Applied across 7 boxes. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's 10 HelloFresh free meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/FreeRangers.
Fantastic. They're absolutely worth it. And it is that time of year, not just the time where you start thinking about the turkey and where you're going to buy that and what you're going to do for Thanksgiving and all that sort of thing. But it's that time of year when teams really begin to get out there and do things in the free agent market. And not all of them will turn lights on and raise banners and make everybody's eyes open wide. A lot of times you make little moves
You got to do
that
some low-key
wind up
stuff.
paying big dividends. And sometimes you make little moves that never pay any dividends, but you got to keep trying, right? You got to go after it. And the moves that teams like the Rangers make, generally lately, as Jeff was saying, they've been really good. They do a great job at scouting. So even though most of you, and even we, haven't heard of Luis Curvelo, I'm not sure how we say it.
Well, we're going to say Curvelo because it just sounds better.
Okay, I like Curvelo.
Like a pitcher.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Curveball Ello. Yeah. So anyway,
He has a slider.
They're close, right? They haven't signed him
They
yet.
haven't announced it yet, and there's the report out there, and even Curvello in his Instagram has a picture of Globe Life Field, so it's looking good. And you sign the guy if reports are accurate, and he's been hot name, at the GM meetings or whatever. Probably not as hot as Juan Soto or Rōki Sasaki, but hey,
tough competition there.
Anyway, if there's a lot of competition for him, all right, give him a major league contract. That's a big deal. That's not going to kill you for a reliever. He's never pitched above AA. He's a command guy. 18 walks last year, 78 strikeouts, or maybe I got the numbers a little fouled up, but pretty good numbers. Big right-hander. So he's pitching in Venezuela. It didn't go well his first outing. He currently has a 54 ERA, but that's okay. I have a feeling it'll get a little bit better. But an opportunity like this to get a player like this who has options. That's the important thing. He's going to have a full set of options. He's going to be cheap. He may not make the club out of spring training. Probably won't.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But he'll be a guy who you can go down and get from Round Rock, which Lord knows it happens once a week with a big league club. So player optionable, young, big arms are coveted by clubs, and the Rangers theoretically could have him for 6-7 years. You know, so these are like scouting signings. It's obvious that this isn't a guy who's on TV just blowing up major league hitters, but with Frisco playing Arkansas, I guess, is the Mariners AA affiliate, playing them all the time. They saw a lot of them. Sure, they have very high opinion of them. A lot of eyeballs from the front office just up there watching Kumar Rocker pitch. Probably, maybe they saw Curvello and like, holy cow, this guy's all right. And again, an international guy. The Rangers have known him, probably known him personally for a number of years. So it makes some sense. It really does. And again, it's not gonna sell any tickets. He's not gonna be on the cover of the media guide this year, but you could see him in the majors, and you could see him in the majors theoretically for a long time.
It's a low risk, high reward situation. And you always kind of need those because, you assume that you're probably going to be able to count on him for a few solid innings. But the Rangers, they only, let him go because they would have had to add him to the 40-man roster, which they didn't really want to do. But 49 games this past season, best numbers of his career to date. He had a 2.57 ERA, but actually was better from July on. He ended that last little stint with a 1.86 ERA, 33% strikeout rate over his final 29 innings. So they said his fastball needs a little bit of work, but he's got a great slider. And he's been in the reliever position since he was 18 years old. So there's experience there. It's not like you're going
to a bullpen guy.
Really get.
I mean, there's a reason he's not in the majors yet. He's got work to do, but maybe he took a jump with something. Maybe, a pitching coach turned him on to something, a new pitch design, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and the Rangers are always looking for prospects and guys to boost the farm system. And this looks like one. And again, it's not confirmed that it's a major league deal. A lot of signs some signs are pointing that way, but maybe they sign him to like a 2-year minor league contract. I mean, he's a minor league free agent. It's not like they're plucking him away from the Mariners. He's a minor league free agent. So those deals aren't unusual either. So see what happens. But it looks like they're slowly, adding little things here and there.
Yeah, and he's 24, which is a really sweet spot.
What's that?
He's 24.
Which
I think is a sweet spot.
No, that's a good number. And the reality is you're connecting dots this time of year, right? And so if we find out that, in fact, they did give him a major league contract, right, and did put him on the 40-man roster, well, then that means that there were a lot of other teams very interested, and now you have to offer some incentive, and that certainly would be one. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean he breaks camp, like Jeff said, with the major league club. No, what AA pitcher from last year would? The best of our AA pitchers in the organization isn't going to break camp with the big club this year, but that would indicate how highly they think of this guy if they gave him something like that.
And give a nod to the Mariners, because the Mariners have developed some really good relievers here lately.
Yeah, they have.
And identified some good arms. So, take that into consideration too. It's like, if the Braves get rid of a pitcher, it's like, why did the Braves get rid of a pitcher? You know, that's kind of like a red flag. Well, if this is a guy who just was an odd man out in Seattle because they have such good young relief arms, then, hey, kind of take a look at that too.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No doubt. And look, it's part of the process. We talked about it a little bit, I think it was last week, but just the whole process of assembling a bullpen, right?
Yeah.
If you've got somebody really great at the back end, which the Rangers hope to, they really want to make signing Kirby Yates a priority. If you've got somebody great and really effective and really reliable at the back end, a lot of times you can build the rest of the bullpen. Now, these days, you actually are looking for that 8th inning guy and that 9th inning guy. And some places, even the 7th inning guy.
Yeah, I was about to say, because so we were taking a look at Logan Gilbert. He led MLB with most innings pitched this season, and it was 208. And you just don't see that these days. There were 4 guys that had over 200 innings pitched this season alone. We were just having some fun upstairs, and in 1998, Kurt Schilling threw 268 innings pitched. So it's like those monsters and unicorns are just not real.
They could be real.
They were back in the day, but things have changed. So basically, the starting pitcher, as we know, is getting shorter and shorter. Their outings, their duration. Hopefully, MLB implements this new rule. I think it would really help the game of baseball. But you need those middle inning guys. You really do. So it's like you can get, this meaningful innings out of a very low price guy. I think that's pretty attractive to anybody that doesn't have a Logan Gilbert on their team.
No doubt. And it's, again, Major League Baseball, we've talked about this a lot too. Major League Baseball is making an attempt to ensure that guys pitch longer into the games, right? We don't want to have just a steady stream of chaos, the way they called it in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
We don't necessarily want that. Jeff and I have talked about this. We're both pitcher guys, right? I mean, I want to go and be excited to see the starting pitcher. Take Jacob deGrom for an example, right? You, as a Rangers fan, are going to go to the ballpark. You're going to be deciding which day do we want to go, and you're going to look at the upcoming pitching rotation and go, man, deGrom's pitching that day. Let's go watch Jacob deGrom, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't want it to be a situation. And then look, if they get Sasaki, and then you got Evaldi, right? And then Rocker, or whoever beyond that. It's cool because they go, man, I get to go see Rocker. I get to go see Evaldi. I get to go see Sasaki. deGrom, I want to be excited about the starting pitcher. I don't want it to be chaos. I get that chaos has to exist. Well, I don't want it to be chaos every day.
They did that just because they had to.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. But there's a trend towards that.
No.
That's why we're not seeing anybody pitch more than 200 innings.
100% there is.
Smaller market teams that don't have the huge payrolls, they believe that they can out-leverage or outwork teams by building these great, cheap, inexpensive bullpens. And you look at the Brewers, Guardians.
Tampa started it.
Tampa, sure. Yeah. But you just start having these guys. Now, to Uncle Ted's
I did like
deal,
his
he said it's easy to stack bullpens. I get it. But the Rangers are going to be in a different situation because they're going to be limiting starting pitching innings this year. So they're not just going to be able to get 8 guys that can go out and blow people away. And you don't want that necessarily. You don't want to use a guy who could be a leverage pitcher in the 3rd inning if you have to go get a pitcher, or if Rocker hits his pitch count in the 4th, go get a guy that can get you to those big arms, or have a guy like Dane Dunning maybe, or maybe it's Jack Leiter,
maybe John Gray.
Who knows? But get him there.
Yeah. All right. So that's a little talk about what the Rangers have already begun to do in this offseason, in this hot stove league. And we all have pretty high regard for what they're doing in the front office these days. So it's interesting. Anytime the Rangers make a move, we're pretty interested, not just because we do this show, but because we think highly of the decisions that have been made recently. Do we think highly of the decision of Major League Baseball to rank the Rangers where they did in the initial release of the power rankings for 2025. It's early, but we're going to talk about it. Why
It's
not?
early, but
That's
it's
what we
rude.
do. That's what we do here. We
Did you
talk
hear me?
about it.
I said it's early, but it's rude.
It is a little rude. I think you'll think so too. And we'll talk about the rudeness and so much more as we continue on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
Well, fellas, I had 2 of my friends from home visiting.
Oh, nice.
They wanted to go to a Cowboys game because they're Eagles fans. So I said,
Nice.
what a day for you guys.
Good for them,
You're going to
yeah.
like this one. So we were sitting at dinner Saturday night, and it's day game Sunday, and they said, I haven't bought our ticket yet. Said, no problem. Download the Game Time app, real life, at dinner. They downloaded the Game Time app. We looked, found them a great price. They got to check out their seat before they even bought it. They had a money-back guarantee in case for some reason it got canceled. I think Cowboys fans wish it would have. But no, they used Game Time, and it was the best one-stop shop for this ticket. There were other places. They said when they looked, at somewhere they knew it was like $300, $400, $500. And I'm like, heck no. You're wasting your money. Download Game Time. Gave them my code, even got them 20% off of their first purchase. So use the code DLLS and get your Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time.
Game Time.
Sleeper Time.
Sleepy.
The app that has Sleeper built their reputation on fantasy, but now they're doing daily picks, and I can't get enough of Sleeper. Really,
Let's say for Jeff,
And,
this is the app that keeps on giving.
I'm
real.
I'm doing pretty well. I didn't have a great weekend, but there are ways to make these picks. What it is you find a guy like Patrick Mahomes. There, will he have more or less than 218 yards? That's an example. So you pick that. You pick a couple. You can put as low as $1 on it, and I haven't done that. I'm not that cheap. But I rarely go above $5. But anyway, you can do just a straight pick, or you can do what's called a flex. That way, if you miss one, you still get a little money back. If you miss 2, you get even a smaller amount of money back. So you kind of hedge your bet that way. But anyway, it's great fun. And download the app, use the code DLLS Rangers for up to a $100 first deposit match. That's Sleeper DLLS Rangers for that promo item.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Jeff's done well. We expect you to do well, too. It would be very nice to see if you did. All right, so the 2025 power rankings are out, and maybe we're sort of masochistic to even look at something like this, because how do you even rank teams? For example, they have the Astros ranked ahead of the Rangers, and then put even in the data, the little blurb about it. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with Alex Bregman. Well, I have to think if Alex Bregman decides to sign elsewhere, that might change where the Astros rank just a little bit. So it's an exercise in fun and futility.
And getting web clicks.
I was about to say, guys, it's like November.
Click. But it, frankly, it makes my blood boil just a little bit. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. They have the Rangers ranked. The Rangers. This is the team that won the World Series in 2023, and the Rangers rank 17th in the 2025 MLB Power Rankings. That's not the worst part. They rank 3rd in the American League West again.
That's just rude.
And they do say in their little blurb about the Rangers on MLB, they say, and don't forget, they've got Jacob deGrom coming back. I'm like, did you forget? Don't you forget? Did you forget that when you made your rankings? I think they're going to be a slightly different team this year. And we know, obviously, we're much closer to it. We know more than they do anyway. But that seemed way unnecessarily low to me to have the, once removed World Series champions that really haven't lost that much at 17th.
But here's the thing. Even when the Rangers won the World Series, MLB did not give them their flowers.
True.
In comparison to and I understand this was the biggest World Series that we were going to see, the Dodgers. But heck, when Shohei Ohtani hit 50-50, do you know how many videos and posts was in that day alone? It was literally 20. And then it's just even their verbiage of the Texas Rangers are the 2024 or 2023 World Series champions, Yeah. And then when it's the Dodgers, Freddie Freeman, oh my, all caps, all exclamations. So it's they're a bias. They're biased towards the big market teams anyway. I mean, they are they're not going to say
you go get your clicks. I mean, we're guilty of putting our Otani mentions on the YouTube channel and doing great with them. Good job by the Prophet.
Yeah, the Prophet's killing it over there.
But yeah, okay. Look at the Rangers. What do they lose? They lose Eovaldi. That's a big one. They lose Yates and Robertson to free agency. That hurts. But then you look, the core is all back. It really is.
That's what I mean.
Everybody, and then it wasn't a great 2024 offensively, but 2023, 2022, there's some track record here to believe that it's going to be better. And don't forget DeGrom. Well, Jesus.
Yeah. How do we
come on.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, which he appeared to be in those last 3 starts, and he wasn't happy really with any of those starts.
No.
And he's giving up like a run, and it's just he has such a high bar there. But there are some things that need to get accomplished this offseason. And, re-signing Eovaldi, I know a lot of people with the organization look at it beyond just a guy who's going to pitch every 5th day, but the guy who holds the pitching staff together is kind of the glue, the pro, the guy who goes there, their go-to guy. So, yeah, I think that's a big one. You probably can find somebody to close out games, but gosh, you want a guy who's been there.
Sure.
And that's this. I've told John Daniels this before. He didn't necessarily believe in that. Although, you had Feliz, then Feliz wanted to be a starter, so they went and got Joe Nathan, and that worked out real well.
It did.
But then who are the closers after that? It's a long list of guys who, either flamed out or just moved to a different role, later in their careers. And so you gotta have a guy. You just got to, in my opinion.
And it's, it really does speak to how that position more than any, and nobody knows this better than Abby or more specifically her dad, that position more than any is about mentality. So when you get, Sean Tollison, who's a wonderful guy and did a great job for a short period of time as the closer for the Texas Rangers, all of a sudden you just realize there's a mentality thing that you have to have that wasn't necessarily present there. Look, Jose Leclerc falls into that category. Does Jose Leclerc have that killer instinct mentality to, be out there and in that situation every single day? We can tell by his body language when he goes out there if he's not feeling it. And I remember way back when I was doing interviews with guys, I think it was before the 23 season at spring training, and we're just talking about walk-up songs. And a couple of guys said to me, hey, talk to Pico about that crappy song he's picked. And it's a beautiful Christian soft lullaby almost
melody
in Spanish. So I don't really know what it is, but they were just like, oh my God, how do you walk out to that? Right. Whereas, you get what was Will Smith's thing was like Ted Nugent, he comes out to Ted Nugent, got you in a stranglehold, baby, or whichever one it was.
My dad had a thing of like pushing the gate out. And one time he like pushed it off the hinge.
Did he really?
Yeah.
It's just
funny.
like, well, of course, Tiger Stadium was falling apart at the end.
Right.
So, but still. And
you got to do something to boost the morale, though.
Yeah, and I love, actually, that your dad he usually used Christian music himself, right?
Yeah, he had Mercy Me write him a song towards the latter.
Yeah, but we know Mercy Me. They're big Ranger fans and big friends of the Rangers, and I'm sure they had one that was just a little more upbeat than Pico's, Jose Leclerc's was, which was just really soft and beautiful. And the guys are like, come on, man.
Yeah. Hey, maybe
but
he needed
it
some
speaks
zen.
to that mentality that I'm talking about, Jeff.
Well, yeah, and Kirby Yates, guy in the clubhouse who's very approachable and talks a lot and laid back, and his song was the One Love thing, the Bob Marley song, right?
Yeah.
I always got distracted that the lights went down.
The fans would do the lights, so they had a thing about it, so it was kind of cool that way.
Yeah.
And it really spoke to who he is as a person. And, Jose Leclerc, man of his faith and everything. But, like Brian Wilson and Mariano Rivera came out to Sandman, right? By Metallica. I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
Get some death metal in there.
Yeah.
And let them have it. But it's Yeah,
And what is
take
the
a
song?
mindset.
Edwin Diaz. I mean, it's a whole thing.
The trumpet guy.
Yeah. Edwin Diaz would, and the Mets in those days, the SNY is their sort of bally up there. They wouldn't go to commercial break between the 8th and the 9th inning when Edwin was coming out because it was such a production, pushing the doors open like your dad and all that stuff, right? They put those commercials elsewhere so that the viewers could enjoy what Edwin Diaz was doing coming out of the bullpen when he was going to pitch the 9th inning of a game. So
Yeah, you really do have to tap into like a very different mentality.
Yes.
Because you genuinely have to believe you're the baddest pitcher on the planet.
Yeah.
And I don't care who's at the plate. I know my stuff. I've got to get you out. I mean, you don't have room for error. You don't have zero margin for error.
Yeah.
So you can't talk yourself out of anything. You genuinely have to be very delusional and
Right.
believe in yourself.
And have that short
like
memory.
no other.
But if you're warming up and you're like, oh crap, I'm in trouble. At least they know how to navigate, how to get around an inning, how to find an out.
Yeah.
Whereas if a young guy comes out and is just like, well, I can't do anything. I'm just going to throw it as hard as I can. 3 walks or 2 walks, and then you
Groove
throw
one.
a cookie and the game's over. You know?
Yeah.
So
I talked to Leiter about that, like specifically, because he said that's a big adjustment, starting in the pin. I mean, there's just, you have a lot more time and you can gauge things a little bit better and you can adjust and react, and you don't have that luxury when you're in the pin.
No.
You'll get pulled.
but got to
Yeah.
have that experience.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's such a great teacher. And again, to the point about that revolving door that the Rangers had for a while, I think sometimes it just came down to a mentality. It's like, yeah, I've got the stuff, I've got the ability. I just don't have that short memory and that ability every day to, I think it was Wash that used to say, or maybe it was Banny, wash it off.
Yeah,
right?
wash.
Was it Wash? Yeah.
Let it wash down the drain. Take a shower.
You
let it
got to
wash
take
down
a
the
shower
drain.
and wash it off. And you just wash off yesterday no matter what happened. And again, even Feliz was unable to wash it off what happened in Game 6, God forbid, in 2011. Right? He couldn't, and that's why they couldn't use him after that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of one of those untold stories about that game, or it's been told or forgotten. But he didn't go back out because he was a wreck.
He was a wreck.
Yeah. So they had to go with Darren Oliver and Scott Feldman. You know, and of course he would have liked Feliz to be out there, but instead of being like, all right, I'm going to go and I'm not screwing this one up, this time, or I'm ready to go back out there, it was like he was inconsolable.
Right. And especially after Josh Hamilton had given the Rangers the lead again, it's like, oh man, send Feliz back out there, and he's got triple digits doing this, going over the strike zone and rising up. Okay, cool, we got this, and God bless him.
I know this just puts like last year's team into perspective. I mean, we know the injuries, of course, but the Rangers, they had the 4th highest innings pitched out of the relief, 4th most in club history. You guys want to guess how many?
Innings?
Yeah. Innings that they got from their bullpen in 2024.
800.
604.
Okay.
And that's 4th
That's a little
most?
high.
4th most.
Oh, that's 4th most.
Yeah.
And do they show what the others were or no?
Yeah. 641 in 2022, 630 in 2019, and 625 in 2021.
Wow.
So in the last 6 years.
Last 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
2021 and 2022 may have been by design of those rebuilding years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I think it just goes to show the importance of those low risk, high reward, the importance of, not the poster boy, but you need the in between guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
As much as you need the closer.
And all this is to say the Rangers are ranked too low in the 2025 power rankings at 17 and 3rd in the American League West.
They've got some stuff to figure out, but I think there's a few names on the team alone. Just bump it up a bit more.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
We should make our own.
Nobody can really concern. What's that?
He tuned in. What'd you say?
I just said we should make our own rankings.
Maybe we will. I
Maybe
like
we
that,
will.
Prophet.
Sounds like work.
You would have to look into the National League
Yeah, I don't know that
And we
at
don't-
all.
we
Yeah,
don't
and
know
by
if
the
we can
way,
get that
I
from
think
Jeff.
at least
Dodgers won. All
Yeah.
right, I got that one.
I think the first 3 or 4 maybe in the MLB one were NL teams. It was certainly the
Okay.
Dodgers, then the Braves.
Phillies
Again,
probably.
Phillies were
Mets,
up
maybe,
there.
who knows?
Yeah, it's
And-
like playoffs copy
Yeah.
paste. Like
Yeah,
you guys did great work.
And then I think the Yankees, so anyway, a lot of it was, to Abby's point, that MLB bias rearing its ugly head. But anyway, that's one discussion that we will continue to have and something we'll continue to look at. Maybe as free agency continues, some of those numbers might just change. We'll find out. That was the third hitter in the batting order, so you know what's coming next. We're batting cleanup, and we've got some stuff to talk about. Earlier, I said it was a fun moment for Josh Young. Actually, not sure it was that much fun, but we'll talk about it next on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But first, Jeff's fantastically modeling one of the new and wonderful shirts that we have all been able to get our hands on from the merchandise store here at DLLS. It's the store.allcitynetwork.com. That's a good one. That's our flag. Each one of the All-City Network cities has their own sort of flag. Yeah. And the Denver one was the first, and each city has one. There's the DLLS flag, and it's great. It's got the Lone Star represented.
Well, I think this is the Dallas. I think this is the city of Dallas flag.
Oh, is that the actual city of Dallas flag?
I believe that is the case.
Kind of reminds me of Tabasco sauce.
Okay, cool. I'm good with that. I've never known that I probably did know the city had a flag, but wasn't that familiar in any event. It's a cool shirt. It's great material. You can wear one and wear it well, like Jeff is. I've got several. You've seen me wearing them the other days on the show, and we're going to get even more and more of this gear. There's a couple of people out there wearing the camo hoodie. That's one of my favorites. We got a black camo hoodie. So store.allcitynetwork.com and get yourself some merchandise, won't you?
Yeah, saw the camo one. If it gets colder, though.
Yeah,
My
I know
Lord.
it needs to.
My Lord. While you're at it, go ahead and sign up to become a diehard. $79.99. Small price to pay to become our best friends. We will have exclusive content. Jeff writes great articles. We've got so much talent covering the Mavericks, the Stars, Rangers, Cowboys, the Wings, TCU even. Do you write articles for TCU?
I haven't done that yet.
Plan on
Just the podcast for now. Yeah, I mean, I have plans.
Yeah.
I have great plans. I just need to channel my, off-season mode.
There you go.
You kind of fall into it. And especially after, 162, there's stuff that happens right away, and then it's like, all right, I want to take a little
lull.
off.
Yeah.
And then you kind of like, all right, I really need to get back to it. So anyway, more coming this week.
More on the way. But if you join today, become exclusive, you get exclusive content, 20% off of merch and events.
Fantastic. We'd love you to be a diehard. We're diehards, basically, for the Rangers and for all of our DLLS shows. All right, so this weekend, and look, rightfully so, Texas Tech fans were getting pretty excited about the way things were going in Lubbock and the way that the Red Raiders were looking this year. And, there were a lot of folks with their guns up, and my son-in-law is one of them, a Texas Tech graduate, and everybody was fired up. And then they get a big matchup and get a lot of eyeballs on them. Our brethren from over in Denver, actually, they've got RV that they take to road games. So some of our friends, RK and the others, were all in the RV going to Lubbock and watching the Colorado Buffaloes play the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And didn't Colorado and Dion come in here and beat the Red Raiders?
They did. It was a tale of two halves, if you will. Tech started out well. And Tech's been inconsistent. They almost got beat by Alabama Christian.
Right.
In the first week.
Yikes.
Or not Alabama, Abilene, sorry. And then they would go to, I'm sure there is an Alabama
There
Christian.
probably is.
And then they went to Washington State and got whipped, and then they won like 5 in a row.
Yeah.
And things are going great, and Baylor went down there on homecoming and smoked them. Then they went to Fort Worth, and they fumbled late to miss a chance to win that game. But then they go to Iowa State, and Iowa State was 8-0. And that crap, and then Colorado might be okay. They were they were pretty bad last year. No doubt about it. And then they have so much. Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback, and Travis Hunter's an unbelievable.
He's
player.
unbelievable.
Yeah, they're great.
He's got to win the Heisman.
So I still think their defense has been playing really well. My parents went to Colorado, and I grew up on Colorado football, so I remember Bill McCartney and Darren Hagan and Eric Bieniemy, and then the national title and all of that. Those defenses were phenomenal, but this Colorado defense, and you'd think with a cornerback, Hall of Fame cornerback as your head coach, that you'd want to put a little emphasis
be pretty
on
good
defense.
Defensively. Yeah, no doubt about it.
So, is the quarterback.
But needless to say, for those people who were in Lubbock wearing black and red, it wasn't the greatest way for that game to finish. Again, like Jeff said, bit of a roller coaster this season, but they were, after the Iowa State game in particular, they were starting to think things were really looking up under Joey McGuire, and a great guy and a great coach. So we're always rooting for Joey. But anyway,
there is a reason we bring this up.
Among the reasons that the reason we brought this up is one of our friends was there.
Two alums. Let's take a look at what old Josh and Jace were up to.
Yeah.
Just some brother bonding.
Yeah. Happy then. This was probably before the Deadgum game, but I like, they're
Or
wearing
after
the
a few
colors.
beers. I don't know. Could have been a halftime.
Could have.
Tech was ahead of halftime, so.
Yep.
But I mean, a World Series champion and then a rookie in the playoffs.
Pretty cool.
No doubt.
Fun.
So
Yeah.
could
Gotta be a fun
Colorado,
alumni day.
You think, Colorado could go to the playoff theoretically?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I think they're making a move toward that, which is amazing.
And because they'll, they should play in the title game, right? If all things continue to go this way, and get in there and then see what happens. Everybody's talking about the Big 12's down, and it probably is with Texas no longer there, and Oklahoma, who's not really very good.
No,
there's a lot of, I don't know if it's a lot of parity, but like Oklahoma State's terrible. TCU beat them.
Yeah.
TCU's kind of waffling. They haven't had a strong schedule and probably should be doing a little bit better. But, Colorado, they did get beat pretty bad by Nebraska, and Nebraska's not great. But, you play the games on your schedule, and they've been winning them. They came back and had that Hail Mary to beat Baylor in a terrible Baylor loss. And, they've got the coach with all the hype.
Yep.
Look pretty good on the TV ratings, probably.
Yep.
I mean, I'd imagine they'd, I don't know, do the conference. I don't remember how it works. Did the conference champs get a home game? Or is it all based on seeding? But anyway, wherever they play, Boulder or parts unknown, that's going to be a highly watched game.
Yep. Absolutely true. So anyway, that's you can tell we'd love to do a little more college football here at DLLS.
I was about to say there needs to be a college football.
Uncle Ted said Indiana football is amazing. Indiana's another interesting one because they're undefeated. They have to play Ohio State still. They had a tough one. They had a little tough one, or maybe tougher than they need to be against Michigan. But otherwise, they've beat the tar out of all of their opponents.
And you guys met my brother and sister-in-law. My sister-in-law is a Michigan grad, so we left here and went straight home and watched that Indiana-Michigan game, and she was giddy that the Wolverines had a chance, because I think they were 14.5-point dogs in that game, and they hung with Indiana, and we were going to turn it off when it was no longer competitive. And we watched to the end. I mean, Michigan had a chance to win at the end. So.
Well, I mean, their quarterback just had thumb surgery. Took a week off and was playing with thumb surgery.
To contribute.
I know. I'm sorry. We didn't prep for the college football podcast, but we're clearly.
I'm just sitting. I'm like reading.
We're clearly going to need one. So anyway, let's get back to baseball. A nice little diversion, a little college football talk there.
Hey, if you like it, tell RG.
How about no kidding? Tell our boss Ben, and we'll do a college football one too. Okay, so. How about the Marlins? I don't know. Have they officially gotten Clayton McCullough on board?
He's been hired.
Okay.
Yes. The Dodgers first base coach is now the Marlins manager. I thought it said Mariners manager when I first read the tweet. I was like, what? No. So anyway, Marlins manager. That's one of those situations, kind of very similar to the Chris Woodward situation, where you're a club that's kind of in rebuild mode, and you want a coach that's been there, and obviously McCullough just won a title with the Dodgers. Chris Woodward had been to the World Series with the Dodgers in 18 when he was hired in early November. And you had to kind of wait for all that to end.
Yep.
So that's why these managerial vacancies in a lot of instances stay open so long.
Yep.
And he's a former, minor league catcher. I just think from that perspective, you understand the game so well.
No doubt.
There's just so many ins and outs that you think of. Of course, nobody better than Bruce Bochy. But, 4 seasons under Dave Roberts and first base, he was a pivotal piece in the 50-50, run for Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
It's a good opportunity. It seems like a Will Venable situation as well, of ready to break off and take your next step. And, Dodgers, of course, thankful for his hard work, but it's an industry you want to see your people, reach their highest potential.
And every team which is looking for a manager wants to grab a little bit of that magic. There's no doubt that was part of the Rangers' thinking when they hired Chris Woodward, right? There's something over there. There's something that they're doing in Los Angeles, and the more of that we can get here, the better off we're going to be. And certainly a lot of that was, and Woody brought this stuff, and he did a nice job with this, but sort of the mix of the analytics with the eyeball test. And again, Woody was had a long career in Major League Baseball, but because of his association with the Dodgers, he was also very, very up to speed on the very latest in analytics. And it certainly helped. He was not, he didn't have a great chance here based on where they were it was in roster construction. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah. After, after 19 was an okay season.
Yes.
It really was.
Yeah.
20. So the 19 winter meetings, they were in San Diego, and they went in there, and really they wanted to sign Anthony Rendon. They really did.
Loading up.
Adrian Beltre had retired, and Asdrubal Cabrera was their third baseman in 2019.
Yeah.
And then, so anyway, they missed out on him, and turned out to be a fortunate stroke there. A good stroke of fortune, I guess.
Yeah, just the way his career has gone since. Yeah.
But then Saturday after the winter meeting, so 2 days after we get back, they make a little trade for Corey Kluber, Emmanuel Clase, Delino de Shields. So they probably will want to have a redo there, but they did kind of go for it. They brought back Robinson Chirinos, they signed Todd Frazier, and then then COVID hit. Kluber pitched 1 inning.
Got 1 inning out of him
in his illustrious Rangers career. So anyway, it didn't work out. And in hindsight, John Daniels has said that they were never going to have the offense to be contenders. But that goofy season, you never kind of knew what was going to happen. But so anyway, but it was at that trade deadline because the Rangers were 500. They were 9-9 at one point.
That's right.
And then they just went straight in the toilet.
Yeah.
At the trade deadline, they traded away Mike Minor, whatever else they could get rid of, and it was a straight tryout the rest of the year. There, that's when Leody Taveras got called up too early, and then they went into full rebuild mode. The 21 team was garbage. The 22 team added Simeon and Seager, but they were still just not good.
No.
And but things weren't going the right way, and they knew they were going to make a change with Chris, and there you go. Bruce Bochy's the manager after a little interim action for Tony Beasley.
Yeah, which was fun too, no doubt about that. So anyway, Marlins similar approach here as they try to grab some of that Dodger magic from Clayton McCullough, who's been the first base coach there for I think since 21 now. Yeah, 4 years now. So that's that. And then other things to clean up on Juan Soto. We were talking about he's in California. And by God, if you want Juan Soto, you're coming to him. And so I thought somewhat surprisingly, and again, it could just be schedules and timing, but the reports are that the Mets are actually going to talk to him before the Yankees do. Yankees appear to be the favorite to sign him. They'll typically not spare any expense. Mm-hmm. And, he enjoyed his time there, but maybe, just maybe.
Going next door.
Yeah, he'd run across the street. And there's other players, too.
Yeah.
It's all the usual suspects.
I believe you guys talk. I got to double check.
What did Kate Upton say when Verlander announced his switch to the Mets?
What did she say?
She said something of we didn't want to go to the team that boos their own players or something. She was just kind of talking about the culture of
she doesn't think
fans.
She doesn't think Mets fans will boo. she's wrong about that. Everybody up in New York will boo on
Everybody
ya.
in New York will,
Yeah.
but
Okay, I got what I wanted.
okay.
One thing to keep in mind about Juan Soto. The Mets signed his little brother. Now, he is not Juan Soto.
Right.
It is not the same thing. He's 18 right now, and I don't think he's played above rookie ball, whereas Juan Soto was on his way to the major leagues. But
Yeah.
you know, if eventually if there's a brother
Tandem.
if that could happen, then that could happen. I don't know. I just throwing that out there because it caught my attention. And but you know, I mean, the Mets, the Dodgers, and the Yankees have all the money.
Yep.
And they have owners that don't give two craps about spending it. So
No.
they don't care about the luxury tax. So they're going to go in and try to get it.
And the Mets do have, in Steve Cohen, the wealthiest owner in baseball, worth, I think, $36 billion.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
so-
they got a penny or two to rub
Yeah.
together.
And he's not afraid to throw those billions around. Now, he's not afraid to even, again, he was paying most of Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander's contracts after they got traded a year ago.
Yeah. What's that like in the owners' meetings? It's Ray Davis worth 3.6, and you have all these guys that are, Bill DeWitt, the Cardinals, he's worth $5 billion, I think.
Yeah.
What is it like when they're talking to the guy worth $36 billion?
$36 billion.
It's the same club, but it's like
So different.
It is a little different. But now I'll say that Ray Davis could go over the goddamn luxury tax.
Yes, he could.
And not think twice about it.
Yeah.
All right.
He's got plenty of money and making more as we look around what's happening over there near Globe Life Field, including that new apartment complex or building. It's a beautiful luxury apartment building that is opening, I think, right after the first of the year in 2025. So, they're not losing. They're making more and more money over there. And if you haven't driven by that whole area where, they call it the entertainment district in Arlington, do yourself a favor, drive by again, because it changes each and every day. The National Medal of Honor Museum is getting closer to being done, and that's all padding the pockets of the ownership of the Texas Rangers. So let's make sure that that it doesn't all stay in those pockets.
Yeah, One Rangers Way is the name of the apartment complex, and they are sponsors of the weekly show. So
beautiful. We
thank
appreciate
you to One Rangers Way.
Yeah, we appreciate them for that. Maybe we'll see if we can't get them to hook us up a little bit over here too. Maybe we get an apartment over there, then we wouldn't, do the show from there. Anyway, that's going to do it for another. Yeah, that'd be fun. That's going to do it for another day of baseball and college football talk. Sort of a college football podcast just broke out, sort of a generic, or rather, sort of organically there, and it was fun. Hope you had fun too. We appreciate you being a part of it. We always do. We're going to come back again tomorrow. In fact, every day this week we'll be here at noon with the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.